my name is Angela and I'm the youth leader here at Sacramento First Church of the Nazarene. And today we're going to talk about facing your giants. Most kids don't think about the battles that they face, but the fact is we all face battles in life. It might be a teacher who has something against you, or a bully who won't leave you alone in the halls at school. Or maybe it's your parents who argue too much, or a kid who's spreading rumors about you. Think about the battle that you're facing right now. Now try this on for size. What you learn in one battle will prepare you for the next one. If you have a Bible, I want you to read 1 Samuel chapter 17. This is the story of David and Goliath. I'm going to go ahead and just give you an abbreviated version of the events in this story here, okay? So there was a battle going on. There were these people called the Philistines. They were on one hill, and these other people called the Israelites were on another hill across from them. This guy named Goliath, who was almost 10 feet tall, stepped out from his side of the battle. He was wearing a super fancy bronze helmet and all of this heavy gear that weighed like over 100 pounds. He had a super huge spear and a bronze sword. Goliath yells out to the Israelites to send their best man to fight him, and he declares if he wins the battle, the Israelites will become their slaves. The troops were all scared of Goliath because he's humongous, obviously, and no one wants to go up against him. So every day for 40 days, Goliath made the same speech while he waited for someone who was brave enough to fight him. So there was another guy named David. His brothers were in the army that was going up against Goliath, and David would go back and forth to the camp where the Israelites were staying and take supplies to his brothers. One day, David gets to the camp when he hears Goliath yelling out to send their best man to fight him. The Israelites were all super scared of him, and they would talk about Goliath and how scary he was, and David overheard this talk in the camp, and he asked questions. Basically, David was like, really, who the heck does this guy think he is? Well, David's older brother heard David say this, and they got really mad. And Saul, who was the boss guy of the army, heard David's questions. And David told Saul he wanted to go fight Goliath himself. Saul told David, no way, you are way too young and you're way too experienced and you're not going to win. But David points out that he is a shepherd, and any time that an animal tries to attack his sheep, he kills the animal, and killing Goliath will be no different than that. So David gets a suit of armor on, but it's really heavy and he doesn't like it, so he takes it off. He picks up 5 smooth rocks and he faces Goliath. David and Goliath talk some trash back and forth to each other, and long story short, David throws a rock at this dude's head and completely knocks him out. Some other really gross stuff happens, which you should totally read about on your own. But anyway, David defeated the giant with only a stone. No sword, no spear, no suit of armor, nothing fancy, just himself and a stone. So remember before the story when I said that what you learn in one battle will prepare you for the next one? David is an example of this. By the time he reached the battlefield and saw the gigantically huge Philistine shouting out his challenges to God's people, David had already fought off both a lion and a bear while protecting his sheep. That's right. See, David was nothing but a shepherd boy left behind by his older brothers to go join the army, because they were the mighty warriors of the family. But in the end, David's experience fighting off threatening animals, as well as his relationship with God, prepared him to take on this new battle on behalf of the Israelites. It's important to note how much David also relied on God. Yes, David was a seriously buff little dude, strong in his own right, but his relationship with God made him even stronger. See, no one really thought that David could beat the giant. His jealous brothers chastised him. King Saul offered David his armor in the hope that it would help, but deep down probably didn't think it would. And David's enemy Goliath made fun of David. But David did not waver. He stayed true to his confidence in the Lord, and he trusted his past experiences to see him through. And he killed the giant. Now I want you to look up. Look at the ceiling in your house. Most homes have 8-foot ceilings. Do you remember when we said how tall Goliath was? 10 feet. Goliath was about a foot and a half taller than the ceiling in your house. Now I want you to pretend that you're David. And even though you faced a lion and a bear, do you really think that you'd be able to face an enemy who was almost as tall as your house and one who was waving a sword and a spear and everything else in front of you? Maybe not. What battles are you facing today? Or what was the last hard thing that you had to face? What do you think that God wants you to learn from it? And what do you think He wants you to remember for your next battle? Because you know there's going to be a next battle. I want you to remember something really important. I want you to remember that no matter how big or scary your enemy is, and no matter the size of the battle that you're facing, our God is always bigger.